Good afternoon, everybody. How's it going? We got some Seahawks roster news. Well, kind of. It's not roster news yet, but it is indicative of where this team is right now when it comes to some of their injured players, and it gives some clues into what we're planning on trying to do in order to get the team ready for this game in Minnesota coming up. So, we didn't sign anybody this week so far. We haven't put anybody new on injured reserve. We haven't made any announcements since yesterday about the players we have who are injured. Nothing's changed in that regard, but we do have some new information, and unfortunately, it bodes pretty poorly for Brian Monet, and it doesn't exactly bode tremendously well for Dwayne Eskridge either, if you want to look at it from every possible angle. So we didn't make any moves today, but we did work out 4 players, which indicates that we are interested in signing either these specific players or we're looking for players at these positions to fill in the coming week or two. So 4 players: Andrew Brown and Brandon Dunn, both defensive tackles, and then wide receivers, Anthony Johnson and Lawrence Cager. Now, I can't blame anybody out there if you've never heard these names before. These are not big names in the NFL. One of them actually has a good amount of NFL experience. I'll talk about that as this video goes on. But unfortunately, the fact that we worked out 2 defensive tackles today tells me that Monet may not be getting right in time for this Vikings game and might actually have something a little more severe going on. And it also means that we don't believe that LJ Collier or Robert Nkemdiche can be the answer while we're waiting for Monet, because obviously we know we like Puna, we know that Al Woods played a great game against the Titans, and we know we like him. So we're really looking for a 3rd and 4th defensive tackle, probably only a 3rd for the most part, because you usually don't have 4 active defensive tackles. So either we don't believe in Nkemdiche, we don't believe in Collier, or we don't believe in either of them. So, not ideal for a defensive line that was supposed to be very deep. We're already digging around in free agency trying to find somebody to field in the upcoming game. And I'm not as worried about Eskridge, but the fact that we're working out receivers is not a great omen for him either. Okay, let's take a look at these players just so we can get some idea of what we're dealing with. Andrew Brown is a defensive tackle who is about to turn 26. He's smaller. He's on the smaller side for defensive tackles. Only weighs 290. He was a 5th-round pick of the Bengals in 2018. Has relatively minimal NFL experience. His only significant playing time so far was in 2019. He played in 14 games for the Bengals and had 14 tackles and 2 QB hits. Not a whole lot. But that's really the only year he did anything worth even mentioning. In 2020, he did actually have 3 tackles and a sack, but he barely played. So his PFF grade in 2019 was 59.5, which is pretty anonymous, but not bad. And that's all you can say about his pro career so far, which is obviously not very much. So to learn a little more about Andrew Brown's capabilities, you have to go back to his college years, where he played at the University of Virginia. And he played 2 good seasons his junior and senior year. Played in 23 games total, amassed 84 total tackles, and I believe 23 and a half of them were for a loss. So he was somebody who made a lot of plays in the backfield. In the last 2 years of his college career, he averaged about a tackle for loss per game. And he also had 9.5 sacks, so he was making plays in the passing game as well. 9.5 sacks in 23 games is pretty credible, and it's not a huge university that he played at, but he was in the ACC. He was playing against good teams, so not a bad player. Probably not going to ever be anything other than just a replacement level guy, but he does have some credible NCAA experience and a little bit of NFL experience. Okay, the next guy is Brandon Dunn. He's bigger. He's 310 pounds, and he's a veteran. He's 29, and you can see these last 3 years he's actually been a key defensive player for the Texans at nose tackle. Over the last 4 years, he's played in every game except for 3. He's started 37 games. He's got 1 sack and about 100 tackles combined. 8 of them for a loss, so he's more of a run stuffer than he is a backfield playmaker. He's definitely more of a Al Woods type than a, I don't know, Rocky Bernard type. I'll reach into the Wayback Machine here for you guys, but he's a fat tack. And if you look at his PFF grades over those 4 relevant years, 2017, his first year making significant contribution, 63.3, decent. 2018, 65.3, decent. 2019 falls off, 56.4. And 2020, we're just not going to talk about that one, right? Okay, so those are the 2 defensive tackles. Those are the 2 guys who I think are more likely to sign, because it seems to me that we need somebody, because Monet's not going to be ready for at least another game. So unfortunately, we cannot seem to address this in-house, and that's pretty embarrassing for this team, given that the defensive line depth was supposed to be one of our strong points. This should not be something that forces us to dip into free agency. We should just be able to be like, okay, next man up. We got Kimdichie, we got Collier, we got Miles Adams, I think is still on the practice squad. No, we're apparently needing to pull guys in. Bad. Now, let's take a look at the 2 receivers real quick. These guys are not nearly as interesting, because I think their odds of actually making the team are a lot less likely, because I do expect Eskridge to be back this week, but seems like we're aware of the possibility that he won't be. Ooh, sorry, excuse me. Ugh. New puppy, hard to sleep. Lawrence Cager's the first guy. He's a big dude, 6'5". That's a couple inches taller than DK Metcalf, and he's young, 24. And he really hasn't done anything in his NFL career yet. He was on the Jets last year, caught 2 passes. Yeah, can't really derive anything from anything you see here, because 2 catches is just not going to show you anything. In college, he played for the Hurricanes at Miami, and he was a Bulldog at Georgia. And he had 2 pretty good years at Miami, not huge years. Across his last 2 years at Miami, he had about 37 total catches for a little more than 600 yards and 9 touchdowns. Not big numbers, not great numbers, but they're okay. And then he transferred to Georgia his senior year and had his best year, 33 catches, almost 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's got a little something, but this is a relatively high talent, low production player, it seems like. Kind of makes me think of the guy from Texas Tech at receiver who I really liked in the draft. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. We didn't get him, but kind of makes me think of that. Final guy we're going to look at here is Anthony Johnson, and he has no NFL experience. He's been on teams, but he's never played in a game. So all we have with Anthony Johnson is his college tape. First, this guy's relatively big, 6'2", 207 pounds, and he actually produced very well at Buffalo. He played 2 years for the University of Buffalo, a MAC school, admittedly, but he had 133 catches for almost 2,400 yards and 25 touchdowns. So, I mean, I'm not saying he's anywhere near Dwayne Eskridge, but Dwayne Eskridge put up similar numbers at a small school as well. So, hey, maybe there's something here. I kind of like this. This is solid production. And that's really all I can say. I'm not going to pretend like I've seen a ton of tape on these guys. These guys don't even have a lot of tape in existence. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it there. Let me know what you think down below. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing that we can learn from these workouts is that Brian Monet's probably going to be out a little while, and we at least have to be prepared for Dwayne Eskridge missing 1 more game. See you guys later tonight. Go Hawks. We'll see what happens this week.